If you have a bodice sewing pattern that fits you perfectly and now you want to add princess seams and turn it to a dress, then this video is for you. Hi, I'm Nasrin, the designer behind Nidalai Patterns, and recently I started a series of videos on how to transform your basic sewing patterns into any design you like. Let's get started. The first design that I'm making is a straight cut dress with princess seams. First, on your front pattern, make sure the two darts meet at the bust point. So here I have to extend the waist dart up to meet the bust point. Now, draw a line from the bust point to somewhere in the middle of the armhole. Find the midpoint on the line. Draw a short line for 1 centimeter squared to the first line and draw a curved line like this. Now add 2 notches, one about 2 centimeter above the bust point and the other one 2 centimeter below the bust point. Make sure you have a grain line on each side of the pattern. The grain lines are parallel to each other and squared to the waist and hip line. Draw a line from the bottom of the dart squared to the hip line and also add a notch there. Now start cutting on that line, following one side of the dart, going towards the bust point, and continue on the curved line. For the other piece, cut on the other legs of the dart. Now we have to close the bust dart. Cut on one of the legs, line up the legs together and tape. Now at the bust point, you can smooth out the curve a little bit. Otherwise, you end up with a very pointy bust. Now we need to extend the pattern to the length we want. I drew lines for 30 centimeter below the hip line. Make sure the lines are straight and squared to the hip line. Now I'm adding 1/2 inch seam allowance all around the pieces. And I added 1 inch for the hem allowance. You can smooth out the corners at the hip and waist. Don't forget to add notch for waistline and hip and also the hemline. Also the 2 notches we added above and below the bust point. The center front will be cut on fold, so I'm not adding seam allowance there. Now go ahead and cut around the pattern pieces. Now we need to true the seams, and that means making sure the seams at this part of the pattern matches together. Flip this piece, then transfer the notch at the back of the pattern. Then line up the notch with the notch on the other piece and slowly turn the pattern on top and walk the seams. As you see, the pattern underneath is longer and poking out. So I'm marking that excess of the pattern and trim it off. This way, when you're sewing the princess seam, the pieces line up together perfectly. Now go ahead and label the pieces. To indicate that the center front needs to be cut on fold, extend the grain line squared to the center front, like this. And finish labeling. Now for the back pattern. If your pattern has a shoulder notch, we can remove it by drawing a straight line from tip of the dart to the armhole, cut on the line and one leg of the dart, Then close the dart and tape. If your pattern doesn't have this shoulder notch, you can just skip this step. Leave the dart for now, and we're going to draw the princess seam for now. From the top of the waist dart, draw a line to the armhole. Divide it in half, square a line for 1 centimeter, then draw a curved line. Add notches above and below the bust. Add grain line. Then separate the pieces the way we did for the front pattern. Now we need to remove this dart. First, measure the width of the dart. Then mark the same measurement above the princess seam and redraw the curved line. Now cut it off. Now we have to fix the armhole. Line up the pieces from the first notch, and as you can see, we need to trim this part. First, tape a piece of paper under the dart. Make sure the pattern pieces are lined up. Now redraw the armhole. And cut it off. You can go ahead and smooth out this corner. I extended the length and added seam allowance like we did for the front pattern. Then go ahead and label the pattern. And done. If you like to change the neckline for this design, watch this video where I showed you 3 different designs for a neckline. The second design that I'm making is a dress with princess seam, waistline seam, and pencil skirt. I start with moving the waistline up on the side seam from the waistline, going up 1 centimeter and mark. From there, going 0.5 centimeter in and mark. Then connect the armpit to that mark. And merge it to the side seam. Now from there, draw a curved line and merge it to the waistline. And this is our new waistline. Repeat the same steps for front pattern. By moving the waistline and curving it up, you create a nice round shape at the waist on your design. Now cut the pattern on the waistline. Trim the side seams. Now go ahead and create the princess seams exactly the way we did for the first design. And the top part of the dress is ready. Now transfer the bottom part on a piece of paper. Extend the length. Transfer the tip of the dart by pushing a pin through the paper and redraw the dart. Make sure to label the pattern pieces right away as the pieces are very similar. Now, in order to give shape to the skirt and make it a pencil skirt, measure 2 centimeters from the side seams going in and mark. Then connect it to the hip line, then smooth out the hip point. Now go ahead and add seam allowance all around the pattern, except above the dart. Leave the dart for now. Cut on the seams. And for the dart, first fold the pattern at the tip of the dart. Then fold one leg of the dart and line it up on the other leg. Make sure the waistlines are lined up. Now place the paper on the table. Now cut the excess of the paper. And it creates this V shape above the dart. Add grain line and label the pattern. I added seam allowance to the top pieces as well, and the pattern is ready. If you like to add color for this dress, watch this video where I showed you 3 different color designs. The third design that I'm making is dress with princess seams and A-line skirt. Create the top pattern exactly we did for the second design. Then transfer the skirt on a piece of paper and extend the length. Now draw a line from tip of the dart squared to the hemline. Now cut on one leg of the dart, but keep the pieces attached at the tip of the dart. And the line, close the dart and tape. Tape the pattern on a big piece of paper. Now go ahead and measure this opening that you just created and add half of that measurement to the side of the skirt. Then connect it to the hip point. With this method, your skirt has a balanced and nice flare. Now add seam allowances and repeat the steps for the back pattern. And done! Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to explain more. See you next time.